triangles. This week's YA Take and Make. I'm Miss Mallory and I'm going to show you how to make this very fun geometric heart out of straws, string, and a whole lot of patience. All right, let's get started. Okay, to start your project, you are going to get 50 straws. You won't need all 50 to make a heart, but you'll need most of them. We are going to start with 7 of the longer straws, and then you are going to cut 25 of the long straws into 3 inches. So as you can see, one is significantly shorter than the other one. The longer ones are going to be the bottom point of the heart, and the shorter ones are going to be the top. So start off by cutting those, and we will get to building in the next step. Okay, to start off, we are going to string 3 of the shorter lengths of straw onto your string. I used a string that was about a little bit over a yard long. As long as it's longer than your arm span, you should be fine. Okay, so I've strung them together, and now I'm going to take the shorter end of the string and the long end. I'm going to we're going to tie them into a double knot so it's nice and secure. You want to do it as close to the straws as you can so you don't have anything dangling off the sides, and it's nice and firm and not too loosey-goosey. Okay, so that is our first triangle. This is the shape we're going to use to make the whole thing. It looks like it's very complicated, but it's really just adding more triangles to each other. So our next step is going to be to add 2 more short straws to our triangle, which I'm going to do. Okay, so I have my 2 straws. They look the same color, so they might look the same, but they're 2 different straws. And I'm going to now take the tail end of my string, and I'm going to tie it to the top of the first triangle. So we're going to make a little loop with our fingers and then pull it through so that it ties into a knot. Pull it through, and again, we're going to try to go gently when we're pulling this tight so that we can do it as close to the 2 straws as possible so it's not like super loose. All right, so now we've got a double triangle. Okay, now that we have the 2 triangles secure, we are going to thread our string through one side because we need our string to be at the top of this triangle in order to move on. So we're going to string it through. It's going to be a little tricky, but if you hold the straw so that the string that's already in there stays at the bottom, it's a little bit easier to just slide it through slowly and carefully. Again, a bit annoying, but you can do it. You only have to get it so far, and then we're going to use our toothpick that came with your kit, and we're going to pull it through the other side. So we're going to tuck it in and then pull it through. Might take a couple of tries or a little bit more effort. I'm going to try to grab the tip of the string and pull it. And again, this might take like 3 or 4 tries to get it going, but there we go. You're so close. A little harder to see from this angle for filming. Okay, so I've got it through, and I'm going to pull it all the way through so that my loose string is hanging from the top of your triangle. So now we're going to thread a single straw through our tail. I'm doing that off camera so I can actually see what I'm doing, but I'll show you in a second. Okay, pull it all the way through so that it's dangling like that. Now we are going to tie it to this corner. So we'll make it a 3D triangle. So I'm going to through. Make a little loop and pull the tail through that loop if I can get the dexterity to do it. Note that if it's a little tricky for me, it's probably gonna be a little tricky for you too. That's okay. Part of learning these crafts is training our muscles to get better at fine motor things. It doesn't matter how old you are, everybody needs that training. So, all right, pulling nice and gentle so it stays where it's supposed to be. Okay, now we have one stand-up triangle. And if you're feeling frustrated or you're just ready to end, this is a great place to stop. You could hang this up and it would look great. But we're not gonna do that, we're gonna keep going. So we're gonna make the exact same shape on the other side. So it's gonna be 2 of these. So our next step is to string 2 more of our straws onto the end. So I'm going to come back after I've done that. Okay, so I've got my 2 straws and I'm going to tie them to this top. It's gonna be a little wobbly, that's okay. So we're gonna make another loop, pull the tail through, and then gently tie as close as we can. And it helps if you hold the straw next to where you are pulling it. Helps to keep the string nice and taut. Okay, so you have one 2D triangle next to your 3D triangle. Okay, so now we have our loose triangle and our tail. Our tail is currently at the top over here, but we need it to be in this corner here. So we are going to do what we did on the first side and thread through this top straw, and we're holding the straw so that the string is hanging out on the bottom, so the new string will hang out at the top and it goes a little bit more smoothly. Hopefully we won't need to. I'm gonna need our toothpick. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the toothpick, stick it in the end, and pull my string. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it all the way through. So now my working side, my active side of the string is right here, and now we're gonna thread another straw through there. You just need 1 this time, not 2. Again, I am doing this just quickly and easily. All right, so I have my extra straw hanging off of this 2D side of the triangle, and we're going to tie this straw to the top to make it a diamond shape. All right, so I'm making my loop and I'm pulling my loose string through the loop. For this, you could probably, because I still have that tail hanging out from the first triangle we made, we could probably tie it to there and make it a little bit tighter. But I am trying to pull this so that it makes a nice tight knot. And there we go. Okay. So now we are just going to repeat the process 1 more time, but we're going to make another one that comes off of here. So I'm going to string 2 of my last short straws onto there, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have my 2 straws on the string, and now we're going to tie it to this corner. Making our loop, pulling it through, pulling the tail in through first, and then you're holding it as close as we can to pull it tight. Make it a little trickier once you've got so many straws to work around. Okay, so now we have our diamond shape and then our 2D triangle left over. And like we did for the first two, we now need this working thread or string to be here. So we're going to thread it back through that top straw by holding it up, and I'm going to try to smush that string so it's a little bit easier to thread through. You can also wet your string, that makes it easier, give you a nice point, and we are threading through. You can also twist your thread a little bit to keep the plies nice and tight. If you need to, just make sure you're going towards the way it's already twisted. And I'm going to do the rest of this off screen because it's going to take a minute. Okay, I finally got that string through. It took me a little bit of time. The more you work with the thread, the harder it's going to be to get it to be stiff. But again, if you give it a little bit of water, it can stiffen it up a little bit. So I've got the working string right in the corner, and I put on a new straw. This is the last of the 12 straws that we're going to be using for one side of this triangle. And now I'm going to attach it the way we've done for the last two of them to this corner. So it will make a nice 3D triangle again. Cannot say this will make a diamond shape because I don't really know what this shape is. I don't know that it has a name. So we're making a loop and we are pulling it through. And pulling it nice and tight. Okay, so this is the one side of the top of the heart done. This is what it looks like when it's finished. We are now going to make a second one of these. So you're going to repeat the exact same instructions we just did on the other 12 of your straws, and then do that and I will come back. Okay, and we are back with our two pieces of the top of the heart, and we are going to now connect them with an extra short straw at the edges. So to do that, we first need to have a string at one of these corners. I'm going to take this string and put it through this side of the triangle I'm going to get this one out of the way, to get it where we need it to be. And we're going to twist that a little bit. I might again have to do this off screen to get it to actually happen because it's finicky. But it looks like it's going pretty smoothly. Yeah, I'm going to do this off screen. Okay, so now I have my two straws that are longer. Hopefully I'm going to try to put this to the side so you can see it, the whole thing. So I have one side connected to this corner, and I'm going to connect the other side to this center corner where we have. And I'm going to, because I already have a string here, I'm just going to tie these two strings together. But if you didn't, you would make another loop around it with one string. So it'll be a little bit easier for me if I just do it this way and then do a double knot. Okay, so now that is, oh, a little wonky. No, there we go. Okay, so now that is connected that way. And now we want to connect one more of these longer straws to here. So I'm going to thread a string through here so that there's a tail here, and then we're going to pull it to up here. I'm going to do that off camera. I'll be right back. Okay. So now I have my string, and I'm going to attach, or my straw, I'm going to attach it to this corner. And because I, again, have a tail over here, we're going to tie it in a knot and a double knot. Make life a little easier for ourselves. String out. shorter end so it's not as wonky. Yes, okay. So I'm making a loop and I'm going to pull that very tight. Hold that there and pull it tight. Okay, so I've got one side of my heart done, and we are going to thread this tail through here and do one more to there. I will be right back. Okay, so I have threaded, the tail was here and I threaded it through to here and then put another straw on there. And now we're going to attach, see this straw is from this end. We're going to attach it to the bottom here, and that will make 1/2 of our heart complete. So I'm going to pull my tail through, and my tail got a little longer because I had to add some extra string. If you have to do that too, that's okay. It's easy to do. You just tie your old string to the new string and you can keep going. Okay, so we want this to be nice and tight so it comes into a point. So I'm pulling it very, very tightly, and I realize you probably couldn't see that, but see, it's nice and tight and a nice little point. Okay, so our next step is to do everything we did on this side on this side. But I'm going to show you because it was a little bit, there's one extra step that we did not take first time. So first we are going to string one more straw onto our tail. All of the bottom half of our heart is going to connect at one point at the bottom, just like a heart does. So I strung this here, and now I'm going to put it here. So pulling our tail through, and this is going to probably start looking a little weird. That's okay. Or a little hard to see because there's a lot of moving parts now. I will try my best to make it obvious. So we are through that short straw that we connected both of our sides to. That's where I am tying my string, right to that corner where it connects to our top of our heart. Okay, so now that's there, and we are going to put our tail through this, right? Let me make sure I have this right. Yep, we're gonna go through right here and then have our tail coming out this side. So I'll be right back. Okay, I have gotten my thread through here. So it was in the corner here, and now it is through another straw, and we are going to tie that to our bottom piece the same way we did the first one. Put this through here and make our loop. Got our loop. We're going to pull our tail through our loop like that. And again, we are going to make this super, super tight as we can. So I'm going to hold it so it's a little bit easier to make nice and tight. Okay, failed at making it nice and tight, but that's okay. It's as tight as it's going to be. So now we are going to add one more straw to our thread, and we are going to secure everything and we'll be all done. Okay, so now I have my straw on, and we are going to attach it. It's attached at the bottom, and we're going to attach it to right here. So I'm going to first make my loop. At this point we've made so many loops that I'm sure you are doing great at it. Probably better than I am trying to do it for a camera. Okay, so we are going to make sure it's nice and tight at the bottom, and then we're going to bring this knot as close as we can to there. Nope, we got to make sure. Sorry y'all, I've done this 3 times off camera and struggled every time. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. It's okay if you have to do it 3 or 4 times. Okay, so where are we pulling? We're pulling from here. We're making sure it's very close. Okay, there we go. So now it is fairly good. So now all we have to do is move this string through here, and then we're going to tie these 2 sides together, and oh, let's make sure you can see it. These 2 sides together. So we're going to string it through. Let's try to make it this way. Okay, we're going to string it through here and bring it to here, and then tie these 2 together. I'll be right back after doing the stringing. So I have my tail right here in the center, and now we are going to tie these all together. And to make it nice and tight, I'm going to wrap it around a couple of times. So we're going to put it through. Again, this is challenging to do on camera. So I'm not looking at it as closely as I would like to be, but that's okay. So we are going to wrap it one more time, but I'm going to make a loop this time. Pull it very tight. Hold it with one hand. Only pull it through. Hopefully this is not too difficult to see. Okay, so I tightened it really tight, and then you can trim off all of your strings, and you have a heart. Okay, now I have trimmed off all of the extra strings, as you can see. You can also add a little bit of glue to each of those ties just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. But you are all done. Congratulations, good job on your hearts. And good luck on your string triangle art.